Hi, I'm Kevin,
And I'm Amanda.
and we are serving up
All that jam.
All That Jam, Quick Hit. Lina Langendorf on her journey to Ethio-jazz.
we're joined today by Lina Langendorf,
Yes.
and she has a new project out. But we want to get into a little bit, I think, first of what I found fascinating, I guess, about this is that I found a video with James Yorkston, Nina Preston, and the Secondhand Orchestra doing Hold Out for Love. I'm not sure who wrote the song, but these same people are that's where you got your start. And this is completely different from your last release. So can we maybe go back and do an origin story and how you ended up working with them?
Well, I think the actually the record label that has released the album of Langendorf United, the owner of that label, Carl Jonas Winqvist, he is like we say the spider in the net in Swedish. We have a saying like that. So he's amazing in how he meets people everywhere all the time. Maybe not physically, so they meet, they join in some way on internet or so, and then there starts collaborations everywhere. So I was actually invited to join James Yorkston for a show here in Stockholm. So that was through Carl Jonas Winqvist. So and actually I used to work for the Swedish radio, like BBC radio, but in Sweden, you could say. And I played a lot of James Yorkston's music there. So it was quite a surprise when all of a sudden I was going to share stage with James Yorkston. But
Is it different than what you had done before that?
I've really almost ever since I started play the saxophone, I have been in all different kind of genres, but not the classical part. I was playing the classical piano a long time ago, but then I went to a jazz concert, and all of a sudden I wanted to play jazz music on the piano, and it
Right.
didn't work with the teacher. He wasn't very pleased about it, and when I was 12 years, I got to borrow a saxophone from my cousin, and I fell in love with it. So I decided that okay, I'm gonna play the saxophone, and I was very lucky then to be able to do that and start at the music school working on the saxophone. So
Uh, it's fascinating. Have you ever heard of a guy named Brian Haas? He was in a band called the Jacob Fred Jazz Odyssey.
oh no, I haven't. I haven't.
He was a classical. He went around to competitions playing
Oh,
Beethoven and stuff on piano, and then he discovered jazz and walked away and gave up the classical too.
yeah.
Um,
Oh, no, and I think for me it was also I studied at the music conservatory in Norway in Trondheim, the jazz department I was at, and then I moved back to Sweden, and I was playing a different kind of jazz for a long time, and then I went to Mali, to Bamako. Also, it was kind of a small coincidence, and when I got back home and I went to a jazz concert and I saw the audience just sitting, being very, 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 very serious, and th- there it didn't seem to be much joy there, and I felt kind of drained of it because I had been in Bamako playing with Toumani Diabate, Vieux Touré. It was a completely different energy, and so that's kind of how I went into the pop part as well,
right.
and later on I've been a little bit in the rock part as well, and before that I had been playing a bit of reggae music as well. So I listen to a lot of different genres, so therefore I play a lot of different genres too, you could say. So
Let's jump into this album. You, I mean, there's Ethio-jazz, Mali blues, Afrobeat, Scandinavian melodies. How do you navigate blending these diverse things into the whole that you created?
For me, music just comes to me. So if I'm out walking or riding the bike and all of a sudden there's a bass line, so I will record the bass line and then I will start to play together with the bass line, and there comes the melody kind of thing. Of course, there has also been, when playing Ethiopian music, of course, I've had to study all the different scales that are in the Ethiopian music, and therefore I've been playing around with them, and all of a sudden there's a new bass line. Usually with this project, most of the music has started with a bass line, and then, or with those small saxophone riffs that are going on there, and then I've taken it from there. But I don't really think theoretically about music. Like Human, for example, that song, it just came to me. I was on a big ship, working with measuring the depth of the ocean, kind of thing, to down to the to the ground, or whatever you say, and I recorded it on the voice memo. So I found it, it's 2019, I think it was, and I had been singing the whole song. I sang it there, and I was just standing there, looking out on the ocean, and all of a sudden this song came. So, and the reason I know that it was on this boat, because I found it a lot of time later. I found it on the voice memo, and I could hear the engines from this big ship. So I was on the big ship there. That's why. So that's how music comes to me, kind of thing.
So as you're talking, it made me think of a question I had on a cultural level. I used to host a radio show and would spend a lot of time digging around world music and trying to find influences from all different parts of the world. Do you feel that there's a closer connection between different cultures, just simply because of geography and proximity, to other parts of the world?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that if there are countries being neighbors to each other, you can of course hear influences.
Yeah, I didn't know
if that's what you mean.
I guess I'm wondering if it's maybe just more a part of the conversation. That's not something. Ethiopian music isn't something that gets discussed in music circles here, or even the idea of looking elsewhere, to find music. We kind of get stuck in what we like and don't necessarily think about reaching outward unless there's a specific reason. So I guess I'm just curious if that's something that's more normally discussed, or other musical influences are brought in maybe more naturally than they are here, if that makes sense.
I don't think so. I think it's probably got to do with curiousness. Like you're a curious person, so you're trying to find music, as you said before. And for me, when I heard Mulatu Astatke's music the first time, I was totally blown away. So and then got the wish of going to Ethiopia and studying the music more closely. And I had the fortune to be able to do that, and it was kind of a coincidence too. Just as the first time I went to Mali, I had a dream of going there as well because of the music. So yeah, I guess I'm just curious and like to dive into different types and styles.
How did you end up going to Ethiopia and working with those musicians?
Well, it was actually, like I said, it was kind of a coincidence. I was very lucky. I had the feeling, okay, now I'm ready for Ethiopia. And I went to this Swedish Ethiopian organization, to their website, because I know they have an office in Addis Ababa, and they make concerts all over Sweden, and also in Norway, and also in Ethiopia and other African countries, or countries in Africa. And I went in there, and it said Nordic artist in residence. Oh, we now have 4 scholarships for 4 different Nordic artists to go to Addis Ababa for 1 month each, working with music or some other art. So I emailed them straight away, and they called me like, "How did you know about this?" And I said, "Well, it's on your website." And they said, "Oh, we just put it up there. So, but you would be perfect for going to this. So you will be the first person who will go. Then let's have a meeting." So I was so lucky, and then I got to meet many people there. In that month, I had an amazing time there, and getting to play almost every night. When when I came there and people, "Oh, you got the saxophone. Oh, but come and play tonight. I've got a gig, so why don't you join us?" And that's quite different from here in Stockholm. You don't really get invited. If somebody see you with a saxophone, they won't be like, "Oh, I've got a gig tonight. You want to join?" That doesn't happen very often. But in Addis, it happens a lot, and it's amazing to be invited like that to play.
If you are enjoying All That Jam, please like and subscribe to our social media channels at All That Jam Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, or visit our website, allthatjampod.com. Make sure to sign up for our email list and tune in every week for new episodes.
Also, look for full interviews on our YouTube channel. And remember, stay beautiful, but don't stay underground too long.